You are about to experience an incredible video showing you the #1 DAO in all of crypto, which is Internet Computer Protocol, based on the number of successful proposals as seen at DeFiLlama.com/governance, and more importantly, fully on chain, which is the only way you can have code be law when it comes to a DAO. And we're going to compare this to Ethereum DAOs and basically every other chain, and its DAO is an Ethereum copy. So we don't need to go into every other chain. They all work the same relatively, except for Internet Computer Protocol's network nervous system and its service nervous systems, which works drastically different to everything else in crypto. So before we even talk about all these metrics that ICP is by far the #1 DAO, there's one key thing you need to understand. When I say DAO, I mean decentralized autonomous organization. And when you're holding a token that gives you voting in a quote DAO, the #1 most important thing is that when you're holding that token and when you're voting, that your vote is actually backed up and executed by code on the blockchain and not by a developer who has a backdoor to the blockchain, or where you're voting on something that happens off-chain, such as if you have a quote crypto game and the game's off-chain, as almost all of them outside of ICP are, and then you vote on something, well, it's a polling mechanism at that point. And we've seen DAOs that are truly by code polling mechanisms like Arbitrum, where the first DAO vote, the DAO voted one way and the developers literally did the opposite. Internet Computer Protocol is the only real DAO infrastructure in crypto currently, because it's the only infrastructure you can do everything 100% on chain. And if you're holding any coin that says it's a DAO, unless it's just the most basic project where it's every single part of it's on chain, which almost no DAO actually works that way, and unless the DAO votes can execute code that makes changes directly on chain, which very little in crypto does that outside of ICP to any meaningful level, then you have a fake DAO token, a DAO token that is in name only. It's essentially a meme coin that the decentralized part of it is totally fraudulent, because if you have an Ethereum DAO, what happens is if people even vote on them at all and pay gas fees to vote, then the developer is totally centralized. The developer has to actually make whatever changes in almost every case that the DAO votes on, as we've seen, for example, with Arbitrum, and how their DAO voted one way and the developer literally did the opposite. The truth slipped out back there, and most people didn't notice. So let's look at these metrics and explore more about DAOs on Internet Computer Protocol and why this is so important. So first, if you're just into metrics, Internet Computer Protocol's had 9,501 proposals all time. But let's look at the last 30 days. In the last 30 days, there have been 308 proposals on the network nervous system, which actually is a fully on-chain DAO that upgrades the code on Internet Computer Protocol itself. Unlike anything else in blockchain I've ever seen before, this is how Internet Computer Protocol never needs to do a 2.0 version, because the protocol itself has a real DAO that executes code that constantly updates and makes changes, an average of 10 proposals a day. Very active, the most active DAO by far in crypto. But look at the second place DAO. The next one is called IC Lighthouse. Guess which blockchain this is on? Internet Computer. The second most active DAO, according to DeFiLlama's metrics, the second most active DAO is a service nervous system, which is basically a more simple version of the network nervous system that is tied directly to a coin. So you can launch a coin and have a decentralization sale, and then that has real ownership depending on how the team actually sets it up. If they set it up so it's 100% on chain, then the DAO holders have real power, same as with ICP. But some developers set the stuff up off chain, so it's just like every other, what to me is a fake DAO. And IC Lighthouse appears to be fully on-chain decentralized exchange. As far as I can see in my research, this is the second most active DAO, and it is hosted on Internet Computer Protocol. The third most active DAO is a meme coin on Internet Computer Protocol. And the fourth most active DAO is my third biggest investment behind ICP Tagger, which is another DAO that's not even tracked on here. But it has its own thing that's not on the service nervous system. So you can build DAOs that are fully on chain on ICP that don't even use this. But the fourth most active is also a DAO on Internet Computer Protocol. This is how powerful this technology is, and more people are going to discover this going forward. So if you look at all time, now DeFi Llama, even if you sort by all time, I don't know what they were doing on PancakeSwap before, but Internet Computer has 3 times as many proposals all time as PancakeSwap does. And if you scroll down and look at some of these other DAOs, you can see, you know, some of them were more active in the past, but they have, oh, Tagger is actually tracked on here. Nice. So Tagger is tracked on here too. So Tagger is an application built on ICP. It is the 23rd most active DAO all time on DeFi Llama. So recently, these ICP DAOs have been getting more and more activity. The ICP DAOs right now, oh, I literally wasn't showing anything because I had my background up. Nice. Well, here, now you can actually see the scrolling. So if you search the all-time DAOs right here, you've got ICP's number 1, OpenChat's number 4, and then you have 2 all-time, like out of all the DAOs they've ever tracked. Obviously, in the last 30 days, the top 4 are all ICP, and then there's 2 more. So 6 of the top 10 DAOs in crypto are on ICP. If that doesn't tell you where the future's going, now look at these other ones, though. You see some of these, quote, DAOs on Ethereum, you know, they've had more activity in the past. You can see how relatively inactive they are, though, compared to the ones on ICP. With many of these that have higher historical positions like Lido, look how big of a market cap Lido has versus almost nothing has happened on the DAO there recently. And Lido's an ETH coin, so that's going to be a case where the developers, the team, are centralizing a ton of power under their control because of all the stuff that's done off-chain there. So look at these DAOs like Arbitrum DAO, 22 votes, you know, which in the last 30 days does not, even though that's a huge project market cap, it's not even in the top 10. So these ICP projects, and you got Tagger down here, which Tagger is a tiny $2 million market cap crypto on ICP, and they've made 231 DAO proposals, and these have been big, meaningful changes. And this is why the future looks so bright for ICP, because not only does the protocol itself constantly upgrade, but all these other applications are very active and constantly upgrading and changing. Now, yes, this could mean that something, you know, if you made one bad DAO proposal, you could theoretically break the network nervous system. And, you know, some of these other DAO projects have needed help. They've broke things at various points. But if you look, you know, there's risk in everything in life. Right now, ICP is massively promising because these DAOs mean that projects can be truly on-chain, have real value for the token holders, and constantly upgrade and change and adjust without having to make a 2.0 coin, without screwing all their investors by moving over to another platform. And I'll show you, I did my first proposal ever today myself on Internet Computer Protocol. So I just did my very first proposal to make my neuron a known neuron. So when you go in your neuron on ICP and you want to follow somebody else's votes and you click down on a topic, right now these are the list of known neurons, and I made a proposal to add my neuron to the list of known neurons. That way, if you want to follow my votes, you would add followee. Once my known neuron is up, you would click follow on it on the first 3 categories, you know, the catch-all, governance, and then SNS fund. And you could follow me on, you know, just one thing if you wanted. But I submitted my first proposal today, and it burned 10 ICP, so we're going to need to add some more to my neuron. And then my neuron automatically voted on my proposal as well. And you can see in real time as the votes come in, like right now there's 6 million voting power that have voted yes so far, and then there's 237,000 voting power that have voted no. And this will immediately execute once 50% of the voting power at least goes through. You know, if there'll be an immediate majority decision, it will be immediately executed. And otherwise, there'll be a standard majority if more than half the votes are yes, or if at least, 3% of the total voting power votes. So this is the cutting edge of DAOs in crypto. And if you want to learn more about the SNS DAOs, there's going to be huge ICP adoption through SNS DAOs, because when what they've set up on ICP is they've set it up so that you can bring over coins from other chains. So right now we have CK Pepe, SHIB, CKUSDC, Link, Wrapped, Bitcoin, and then you have, I don't even know what Oct is, but you've got these other CK tokens which are on Ethereum. So what you can do with these other CK tokens is set yourself up a real on-chain DAO. So some of these projects are going to move to ICP DAOs so that they can tell their community, hey, you can now fully own the project, and control your coins, can now actually vote and make meaningful changes. It'll be a way to get more investment, more activity, and more community participation in the token. So I imagine over time, the more people find out about what DAOs on ICP can do, it's extremely attractive to launch DAOs, to launch meme coins on ICP, because you've also got this launch pad. This launch pad, anyone can submit a proposal like I did today, except instead of making it a no neuron proposal, you submit a proposal to create a service nervous system. And then all these have been created through service nervous systems. And you've got some meme coins, like IC Panda DAO is a meme coin, and they raised 12,000 ICP, which is $120,000, that then gets put directly in the DAO treasury. And with the Neurons Fund, you can even add some, this is from people who check add to Neurons Fund, which I would not do personally. But, some people do that to allow you to passively invest in ICP projects. I believe in actively investing. But this meme coin raised, $1.3 million of ICP for their treasury. So their meme coin immediately has a real value of $1.3 million, because it's literally backed by $1.3 million of ICP sitting in the treasury. Now, the holders of the coins can then decide what to do with that. So in theory, someone could have bought, put in over 3,000 ICP to this, and then they could literally just drain the treasury if they wanted to, and no one could stop them. So ICP has the absolute best launch pad in crypto, and this is going to blow up. We've seen some recent liquid staking protocol raised 435,000 ICP recently, which is $4.3 million. This has no KYC. It's open to anyone. Certain countries can get excluded, but this is how you can create your own DAO. Neutronite is the DAO. I put in 10 ICP for this. This is the DAO for the ICP coins website here, which is, is with the Neutronite abbreviation. So these DAO, the SNS DAO projects on ICP is going to be a big area of adoption for crypto in the future, because you can have a real DAO. Assuming the website is fully on ICP, like jerrybanfield.com is, and the coin, which is easy to do for meme coins, like this is perfect for launching a meme coin, because you can turn it into a real DAO. Literally, you could just set up a free fair launch meme coin, and people could literally do whatever they've wanted with it. And the first thing was launched like that. The first project on ICP was launched like that. They only accepted 3,000 ICP. The maximum, commitment was 1 ICP. This launched, 3,000 people participated. And then the founder of the Dragons game, bought enough of the supply and locked it up long enough that they actually took full control over the coin, changed the symbol, changed the name, changed the supply. So these ICP coins, these ICP DAOs are the real deal. Whereas, these DAOs on Ethereum are polling mechanisms, in almost all cases, they're polling mechanisms. And when you combine the DAO community, when you combine the DAO with things like OpenChat, so on OpenChat, when you have a coin on OpenChat, you can tip people in the coin. You can do a giveaway for the coin. Like, for example, I could give away, I've done this in my community before. I could just click send right now and give away 24 ICP to my community, and it would be done randomly, fully on chain. I've given away hundreds of ICP just like this before, and you can swap all these directly in the interface here. You can see there's many more coins added on OpenChat. So OpenChat plus launching a meme coin on a real DAO or a real project with a real DAO, like this is cutting edge technology. There's nothing nearly this good in anywhere else for DAOs in crypto. This to me is the future of DAOs, because you can have a real DAO. And when it comes to regulations, having a real DAO on ICP, if you want to say that you've got a DAO, regulators, it looks like they are going towards, if you say you have a DAO, it's going to have to be a real DAO by code. So your token's going to have to actually, the votes on the token are going to have real control over the application. The application is going to have to be really hosted on decentralized infrastructure. The rest of these Ethereum DAOs, these, where's the website hosted? It's not hosted on chain. Who controls the website? Well, the development team does. And who controls like the team wallets and stuff? The development team does. So when you have these DAOs that say they're DAOs and then they're doing things that governments would normally require KYC for, what we're seeing is some of these DAOs are coming under attack from regulators and saying, you have to KYC, or you have to prove you have truly decentralized infrastructure, because if you're sitting there with the keys to make all the changes, a backdoor to change the blockchain, if you have the website hosting under your control, that's not a DAO. That's not decentralized. So almost all of crypto right now is fake DAOs. DAOs that don't have any real power or real control by code. When we're talking in crypto that code is law, you have to have control by code of everything the DAO is supposed to own. So ICP is the only place you can do that. And there are apps being built with all kinds of DAOs on ICP. In some of these DAOs, you get voting rewards for voting. Like I have OpenChat on here. I have OpenChat Neuron. And I've got 4.75 maturity. So I could disperse this and turn this into chat. In the last couple days alone, I've gotten like $2 worth of OpenChat given to me just for voting. And this actually votes on, real changes, and things like token listings are put up to a vote. So you can have truly decentralized exchanges where holders of the token vote on which coins are listed and which ones aren't. So that gives some value to holding the tokens on a decentralized exchange on ICP, because then, if I want to get my tokens listed and I have enough voting power, I can guarantee my tokens get listed on the exchange with enough voting power. Whereas these other exchanges, their tokens, in most cases don't give you any real control like that. And they're often, almost completely held by the founder. So the transparency and the focus on, real users having real ownership, the fully autonomous updates, and the security of these DAOs frameworks allow you to do things like have OpenChat, where I've got all this crypto sitting in my wallet and I don't need a firewall. OpenChat doesn't need a security team. This is flat out the only reason people aren't building on this is because they don't know about it. If you want to build a real DAO and launch a real DAO coin, this is ICP is, there's no way you would launch on Ethereum. Right now, the only reason people launch on Ethereum if they know about ICP is to try and get the liquidity. But that and like Dmail launched on Ethereum just trying to get the liquidity, but then, you know, they had something go wrong with their Ethereum contract. And, you know, that if they'd done it on ICP, that wouldn't have been an issue. And they potentially compromised the token for the project going forward. So these SNS DAOs are the future. Ethereum DAOs are not even real DAOs in almost every case. And I'm very excited for seeing the DAOs. These DAO tokens that launch have huge potential. Now, some of these DAOs have also just basically rugged the community and given nothing in return. And you've got to do your own research on these coins yourself and see what you're really investing in. That said, at least with these coins, you get more transparency, because on these other tokens, when they launch and you dump all your money into them, you don't even know what happened to it. Like, people sacrificed billions of dollars a lot for Pulse Chain. Like, no transparency as to where that money went. Whereas, you know, you put ICP into a project on the launchpad here, and you can literally vote on what gets done with the money. And you as an ICP holder can vote on which projects should even have a right to launch. So these, you know, these ICP DAOs compared to Ethereum are, you know, like it's night and day. It's the old versus the new. That what these DAOs on ICP can do, and it's incredible. And the more people find out about this, the more people are going to keep talking about it. The more people launch their coins on ICP DAOs, the more the network effect of this is going to be insane. I've talked to so many developers who are planning projects to launch on ICP right now. It takes time to build, though. So the network effect within the next year, especially for the next bull market, is going to be nuts. There's all kinds of developers working on building things that they can launch tokens for. And this is a huge area of adoption for ICP. So if you've enjoyed my comparison of ICP DAOs versus Ethereum, if you've enjoyed me showing you how ICP is the absolute most active and by far technologically advanced true DAOs in crypto, then I would like to get to know you better. Go to jerrybanfield.com, follow on Twitch. You can chat totally for free with me and the community of people who most care about my work and are here to ask questions and, you know, suggest ideas for videos. I filmed this today because there were viewers on Twitch asking to talk about this particular subject. So if you want to talk with me while I'm offline, try Open Chat. You can try Open Chat totally for free. You can join it, and it even has a referral program. You can join Open Chat, look around, see how it works, and then it costs 1 ICP if you want to actually join the community and chat with me and everyone else. And Tagger is a social media app that it's like X directly on chain on ICP. It has its own DAO, and to me, if you want to really see what an ICP DAO can do, these two are great examples. They both work differently. And, you know, these are the two biggest altcoin positions I have behind ICP. I got 90% of my portfolio is ICP, and then like 5% or so Tagger, and like 3 or 4% Open Chat. So if you'd like to, you know, have the best experience with me and really help me get to know you, schedule a one-on-one call, and I'd love to get to know you better and talk to you. Thanks for watching. If you want all my videos, follow on X and subscribe to any of my 8 YouTube channels that interest you. I appreciate you watching, and I'll hope to get to know you better on jerrybanfield.com soon.